Welcome to Advanced Insights, where we provide just what the show name suggests, advanced insights into some of the most exciting trends and topics in technology. In this episode, I'm joined by Pavan Davuluri, Corporate Vice President for Windows and Devices at Microsoft. He began his career at Microsoft as a reliability component manager 24 years ago. Since then, he's held various leadership positions across PC, Xbox hardware, Surface, and Windows. Pavan, I am thrilled to welcome you to this show. I have really been looking forward to chatting with you. I always enjoy chatting with you and hearing your insights at this exciting time. Thanks for being here.
Mark, thank you for the opportunity. Grateful to have a chance to connect with you and share the amazing work I think that our teams are on when it comes to Windows and AI. Thank you once again for the time.
Well, we'll jump right in. So speaking of Windows and AI, I'd love your thoughts on just what's going on in the industry right now. Like you think about what you lead for Microsoft. You have, such a vast population using your products. And here we are as an industry, as a society actually, in a transition to adopting AI more and more. And at Microsoft, you cover the gamut of the computing applications.
At Microsoft, I feel like we are grounded in our mission. It is about empowering every person and every organization to be able to do more. And for us, I feel like this AI inflection point is one more important technological change where we have a meaningful opportunity for us to have an impact on how people work, how they create, how they learn. The other big point, I think, for us in terms of inflection points is certainly, I think, a large of the AI revolution started with cloud-based infrastructure and capabilities for sure in terms of experiences. And now I think we're in a place where we're able to deliver these experiences to people across a range of devices. And I think the beauty of the world going forward will be a combination of cloud-powered experiences and devices that have the ability to run AI locally on a fast, pervasive, secure manner. And our ability to combine the two, I think, is going to be kind of amazing in itself. We're grateful to be able to partner with partners like AMD for sure, because I think one important nature of this change is it is a platform and it is an ecosystem that is evolving. And so it requires deep partnerships to be able to make these technological transitions and shifts with a common set of goals in mind.
How does Copilot Plus fit in that vision you just described? Like if you just told people like what impact you're trying to have on AI adoption with Copilot Plus, what would that sort of elevator speech be?
Mark, when we started this journey about a year ago, for us, Copilot Plus PCs are a new category of devices built for the era of AI. They're for us the fastest, the most intelligent, the most secure PCs we have, and they're built on a foundation of modern silicon that have neural processing units, for example, that give us the ability to have unprecedented amounts of accelerated AI compute on the edge in themselves. These Copilot Plus PCs also represent an inflection point for us on the client computing stack in Windows. And so we have done a ton of work here over the last couple of years to be able to make sure we're reinventing what the low-level operating system constructs and primitives look like. We've rebuilt what the platform of Windows looks like. We have a new developer platform for our developer ecosystem to be able to take advantage of. And of course, now we're building new sets of AI experiences at the Windows layer that use these platform constructs, including the new modern silicon in themselves. So those Copilot Plus PCs bring a set of new AI capabilities built into Windows, Mark. We have a class of SLMs and models that are running pervasively in the device and in the operating system itself, and they power a set of new experiences. The ones that we talk about a lot are things like improved Windows search. In Windows, we've had lexical search for a long time, and now we bring the ability to be able to have search with natural language interaction, the ability for search to understand content, for instance, which is a job to be done in Windows at scale. We have hundreds of millions of customers who search in Windows and File Explorer every day, and it's a magical thing for those kinds of daily behaviors and experiences to simply get more productive in themselves. They also span the gamut. We have people who use local models for creative type workloads, and so diffusion models that help with paint and expression and ideation and iteration is another end of the spectrum for where Copilot Plus PCs are bringing new experiences. At the end of the day, what we try to do with Copilot Plus is deliver these new AI capabilities and rich experiences that are woven into the fabric of the device itself, and we combine them with best-in-class fundamentals of the product. Customers expect great performance, great battery life, instant on, great security and reliability that they can rely on. And these Copilot Plus PCs combine both the best-in-class devices we have built with this new generation of a platform that powers new experiences for AI going forward.
Tell me a little bit about the experiences enabled by Ryzen AI powered devices.
Mark, we've seen a class of new Copilot+ PCs powered by Ryzen AI coming to market in waves over the last 9 months, 12 months or so, and we are super excited about those. It's not just the silicon itself, but the capabilities that AMD is building and the runtimes and the toolchains that are important, because we want customers to be able to rely on that as an intrinsic in the operating system and in the device experience, and that means it has to be performant and reliable and with great battery life. The ones that we're the most excited about are features like Windows Settings Agent, for instance, where, kind of like you talked about earlier, in a world where we think about agents becoming more pervasive, one of the places that customers often interact with Windows is settings. There are millions of customers on a daily basis who reach out to settings to get their jobs done in the operating system. And one of the simple ways we can keep users in their flow without having to deal with the entire complexity of the operating system is to have an agent that understands the OS, allows natural language interaction, and allows them to go find their task or find their setting without actually having to go deal with the graphical user interface of the product. And so we just have Windows Settings Agent in the Insiders program right now. It is a glimpse of what an agentic OS can look like in specific instances. It is a domain-specific model that is running, and customers are finding it to be delightful because they can interact in natural language. The settings agent is able to act on their behalf, and it is a multi-step agent that is orchestrating itself to the action. And so whether it's things like settings agent that are a marker for where experiences are going to be in the future, or whether it is capabilities like improved Windows search that allows customers to be able to search for files and folders and no longer have to use or remember names of files and folders and dates for things, and be able to search based on natural language, based on their memory of what was the content in the file, and the models themselves to actually understand the semantics of the information, whether it's visually or in lexical representation and text representation, is another great example. We have a new feature called Click to Do that allows these models to be running on a pervasive basis. They have context awareness of what is in the screen. They're able to hand off tasks for a given user based on the flow by taking advantage of the power of these local models based on the actual screen, the actual app, and the actual context that's on your device. Of course, we have the ability to recall things in a visual context and make it simple to find and search what you are looking for. And then we have a class of diffusion models that allow you to be able to bring new experiences in paint and photos, which would not have been possible otherwise for creators to be able to edit, stylize, and create new images on these Copilot+ devices.
You've really impressed upon us each of those experiences, where those experiences demand elements of faster computing, a lower latency, a faster response to those end users, a different type of a graphical presentation. You've made it really abundantly clear. So I know we've had to, at AMD, really change our culture. We've always been experience focused, but you've enlightened us to what's the world of sort of possibility in a Windows and a PC environment. And I know we're adapting. Have you had to adapt the culture of your team? Like when you've been again focused on experience, but you just said it's a different experience. Has it brought about some different thinking of your development teams?
It absolutely has. It's such a great question, Mark, and I think we are still on the journey of understanding how we orient ourselves to these new capabilities and these new experiences and making sure we're delivering meaningful value to our customers at the end of the day. A few really, really good examples for us. One of the things that we've done in Windows is to think about how production functions in themselves have evolved. On Copilot+ PCs, for example, a bunch of the features that we are building as an experience team in itself now rely on models that are intrinsic in the operating system. They rely on model science and model makers who are inventing these models. They require a new fabric in Windows that can digest these models, house them, maintain their life cycle, deploy them securely, et cetera. We have a new platform that exposes these new model primitives that are primarily sort of stochastic in nature. They're not as deterministic as Windows APIs in the past. And so one of the things for us from an experience standpoint is making sure we are clear on what those experiences are like, but also rebuilding that engineering pipeline for how do we go deliver these new delightful experiences and bring these new capabilities into the platform that are sort of essentially evolved in the last 3, 4, 5 years for us as a collective industry. The experience focus areas for us, one of the big ones, Mark, for us has been Copilot-driven experiences in Windows. And so one of the things we try to do is, we think of having an AI assistant or a companion that's available in the device at all points in time. And that, to your point, does require a maniacal focus on performance and reliability and latency, because you want that assistant to be instantly available. You want it to be available at all points in time. One of the new features we're shipping with these copilots is these copilots have a new multimodal interaction model. They can now interact with voice, they can interact with vision, and that really requires these voice stacks to be highly performant. It requires vision so that your Copilot can understand your desktop, for instance, to be a highly performant, which is really an interaction between the local device and the models that are in the cloud. And so that has been another pointer transformation for us. On the other end of the spectrum, we have a set of devices, that are entirely locally powered. These models are performant, they're fast. There, we do care about things like latency and throughput and security, and we have spent a lot of time together first understanding what KPIs, what targets do we actually go after in a world where we are creating net new things together, where we don't have historical precedents. And the other big thing for us, of course, is once we understand them, is how do we engineer them across the entire system? And that requires silicon components, OS components, application components.
I just love your description, because I don't think most people think about all the aspects you went through. Like, the PC is the primary device for most people of any content creation they're doing, and they're using it every day. But that also means that it's now one of their primary points of access of AI, because that's a device you're creating your business plan, you're running the operations of your business, or even on the personal life, you're running aspects of your personal life. So you're on that content creation device, and what you just described is all the facets that needed to be layered on top. Now that's an AI device, it's how people are actually getting access to AI in many, many cases. So Pavan, on that, I know I'm starting to use AI more every day. I have been since late 2022 when generative AI came out, and you guys were all over that. You partnered with OpenAI and you brought these capabilities into Bing right away. But I'm using even more now. We had a Luminary speak. We have an annual conference. We bring our technical leaders together. And this is the head of one of the largest national labs, and he challenged us. He goes, if you're not using, as chip developers at AMD, if you're not using AI, at least 2 hours a day, you're gonna fall behind. So I've been challenging myself to just use it more and drive up my productivity. How have you thought about bringing it into your day, and how do you think about that AI experience? Being at one of the largest providers of AI capability.
Such a great question, Mark, and we think about this all the time, and I think to your earlier points, this is an evolving landscape where we are learning as well how best do we have AI shape and define our workflows. When it comes to the Windows team, I personally think about my own use of AI, my daily workflow, and with our teams in a couple of different spaces. The first one for us, at the core of what we do for Windows engineering, both at the platform, the operating system, the developer experiences, certainly on the devices front, is having AI enable to accelerate and create net new experiences for us as developers. And so one of the places now we use AI all the time, of course, is in code gen in our own workflows. And so as you can imagine, the Windows code base itself is a rife opportunity for us to go look at legacy code we've built, net new code we're building, new infrastructure and interactions we have in Windows. And we spend a lot of time understanding how Windows code bases themselves will evolve if you start using AI to help us build new experiences in themselves. That's one big space where we spend a lot of time in our daily lives as an engineering team in terms of just having AI enable new things for us, unlock productivity. The other space where we spend a lot of time with AI these days for us internally as a team is our own business workflows. And so whether it's the engineering team or cross-disciplinary teams, you mentioned Surface, where they do a variety of engineering work across supply chain, manufacturing, operations, product development, for instance. We now, kind of like your silicon engineer example, is we have domain-specific agents that have functional knowledge, subject matter expertise, or grounded in data sets that are relevant to subject matter experts in these spaces. And so we have domain-specific agents that are helping us learn, explore, accelerate, quite frankly, get more efficient on a real-time basis. And so that's another big place where we have AI influencing our workflows in themselves. And of course, Mark, foundationally for us at Microsoft, Copilot and M365, of course, and M365 Copilot experiences outside what we do with GitHub and Security Copilot are certainly reshaping how we interact across the company as well. And so now you're in a world where you have agents in Teams, you have agents in M365, they're task-specific agents, they're personalized, they understand you, they understand your intent, they understand your knowledge graph. That for me has been just completely eye-opening for somebody who's had a chance to work at this company for a while. I think we're at the infancy of understanding how AI is going to change our daily work here.
I'm wondering, Pavan, that might actually be the killer app. I mean, Copilot Plus is growing. People are absolutely, every day, we are certainly using more and more of its capabilities every day. But every device ends up with sort of a killer app that really just sort of hits that double exponential. I wonder if what you just described might do that. When you think about, again, we're using Windows and PCs as our primary workhorse over the day, and if you could do what you described, if it truly could span what you've done and just just speed everything from that content creation, but across your mail, across your all the interruptions that we all have every day, if it could really provide that filtering, we're making progress. But imagine when you have your words like that real AI assistant that at the end of every day you just said, my God, I got a third more done today than I would have without my assistant. Do you see us clearly on that path?
Absolutely. I want to lean into a point you made earlier. I think you're absolutely right. For devices, at the end of the day, AI experiences are going to be powered by the cloud and by your local device. And I think at the end of the day, it is hopefully a seamless continuum for our customers. And I think the world compute is going to increasingly look hybrid as we look forward into the decade. I think it has a couple of big pieces. One of them for us, for Windows for sure, is the copilots themselves in your daily interactions, as you mentioned. And so for us at work, especially when it comes to productivity and creativity type tasks, having the copilots themselves have the ability to be grounded in your substrate, in your knowledge, in your understanding, have those copilots actually accelerate your productivity, whether it is help you author a document, whether it's help you communicate in teams, for example, and with meetings and manage projects, whether it's to be able to help you with summarize email and manage sort of tasks and their efficiency, and themselves being multimodal. You can summarize email, Mark, in text. You can summarize it and turn it into audio podcast. I think the power of these agents and their interaction models will also unlock new interaction paradigms in themselves. I think that is step one for us. You're going to find the M365 Copilot, a Copilot in your daily life, for example, in your companion as a consumer, be a transformative experience on Windows. Those are, to your point, are kind of significant places of investment when it comes to these large models doing what they're doing. I think the other big piece for us in Windows with Copilot Plus devices is to complement those with these local models that are running on the edge, that are pervasive, that are context aware, that are efficient to run, where you have data, for example, that is local. They're also secure on the edge for customers where those workloads make sense. And so those examples then take you to Copilot Plus devices that have features built into the operating system that complement these big copilots. And then the third big thing, to your point, Mark, is a platform. I think we at Microsoft here will imagine and unlock a ton of value for our customers, developers through information workers. But the other important part of this is work like Windows ML, where we're building a platform for others to go bring their ideas, creativity, unlock their ability to take advantage of what the platform offers. And on Copilot Plus devices with these new neural processors, we have a third way for developers to be able to create value. Of course, we have CPUs and GPUs and all the infrastructure we've created, quite frankly, together over the last decade. And then now we've added a new compute paradigm with having neural processing units become available. These are highly efficient pieces of accelerated compute. And you can imagine a world where a new set of apps and experiences come to life across the breadth of the developer ecosystem, across a variety of scenarios that complement the Copilot, complement OS experiences in Copilot Plus devices.
I wonder if people realize how close it is for these kind of changes. So if our listeners haven't been paying attention closely, they may not have noticed just what you said. Small language models are getting much more powerful and are working hand in hand with the LLMs, the large language models on the cloud. And then you just gave us a perfect description of how agentic processing is coming right to your point of interface on your PC, where you're actually spawning multiple tasks, going into multiple applications with that overlay of Copilot Plus, and basically I'll call it your AI manager. And what I love is, again, your focus on experience, because how do people adopt new technology? It has to be seamless. It just has to be easy. And so if you hide the complexity with what you're doing, with your new approaches with Windows ML and getting more and more developers on there, and you have that very, very clear application programming interface, that API, that just has me so excited. I think we're in this era of that's starting now. Era one was the capabilities that were coming out, and all of us really realizing what AI can do. We're in this era too of applications. I'm going to have that pivot into another topic I want to cover with you, and that is AMD and Microsoft. I think it's a great example for our listeners, to use as a case study almost of how two companies can really partner at very, very deep levels. I've been in this role 13 years, and one of the first deep engagements, of course, was Microsoft. Yes, it was with Windows, but it was also game console. And what Microsoft told us is, look, we can't have our game libraries be broken into. We need a whole new and better security. Great point that applies to AI as well. We need, you need to trust that your data and your models are safe. But I don't know if people realized, AMD and Microsoft started working on security, literally over a decade ago in it, and its roots were out of game console. And then I look at what we've done again over that period of time, and it's just been, seamless in terms of requirements that we needed to enable in Windows, but also, you mentioned earlier, just compute capability. We added the neural processor unit when you said, look, here's a capability we have. We have to, at very low power, offload these inference algorithms. And we added that to our roadmap. I would love for you to talk about, yes, AMD and Microsoft, but just even more so, your view of hardware, software, co-design, how you're creating an ecosystem so that, we give customers choice, but do so in such a way that there's this type of seamless design effort.
Mark, let me just start by saying first, we are deeply grateful for the partnership with you and the entire AMD team in this journey, both on Windows and devices. Certainly it's been true with Xbox, as you pointed out earlier as well. It's been a tremendous partnership, and I think it is one where we do push our collective teams. We learn together, I think. You certainly make Microsoft better. You certainly make the Windows team a lot more efficient and better too. So I really appreciate the two-way partnership. It's been huge for us, and I'm quite frankly looking forward to next steps in this world as we continue to invent in this space. The big ones for me, I go back to, I think our early days, like you said, back in Windows 95, I think we were in a world where K-series CPUs were coming online, and both Microsoft and AMD were together trying to figure out how do we go best to deliver compute at a first order construct back then. For me, more recently, I think the work that you've done, what we have done rather together in the Pluton space is a great example for us, where we took a lot of the core conception and innovation that happened in the Xbox space, and now we have it available more broadly across the entire Windows ecosystem, quite frankly. I think those are strong examples of AMD and Microsoft and the Windows team coming together with a core value proposition in mind, building that technology, realizing that it is a multi-step journey, making those silicon investments, making those platform investments. And now, like you said, secure core PCs and Pluton security requirements being intrinsic to all Copilot Plus devices really is the output of 5 years, 7 years worth of co-engineering together. Another great one in my mind is the work that you referenced earlier on neural processing units. This is a concept that we introduced to the Windows ecosystem barely 13 months ago, I think, 12 or 13 months ago at this point in time. But really is a reflection of multiple years of engineering work together. Like you said, I think we identified the need for highly accelerated compute on the edge because we had this ambition for running not hundreds of millions of parameter models, but billions of parameter models on the edge. And we needed them to be energy efficient. We needed them to be low latency. We wanted them to be able to be real time at the same time. And that required us to go build the neural processing units in the silicon in themselves. And I think another important point there, Mark, is this invention in the AI space for us, certainly the neural processing units are a piece of it. But the thing that I love between the partnership between AMD and Microsoft here is I think we're aligned on the experience vision, like you pointed out, and also the developer vision. So the fact that we are building runtimes and tool chains and the platform infrastructure together is very, very important for us, because a lot of the gains in performance and capability that power these experiences will come from the neural processing units, they'll come from the runtimes, they're going to come from the AI frameworks that build on top of them. And it's great to see the AMD partnership across the entire stack from silicon to the system architecture.
I watched the video from Microsoft Build conference, and you guys made some exciting announcements. And some of the announcements were actually right where you were touching on just there. Going forward, you've committed to really even further open up the development environment for Copilot Plus and Windows experiences. If you don't mind, just share with us, sort of the key points and where are you excited with regard to those announcements?
Mark, Build was an important point in time for us and the Windows team on this journey for AI. And there are a couple of pieces probably that would resonate for your audience. The first was the point you made on Windows being a great platform for developers. And so we've been on this journey for making sure platform components like WSL, the Windows subsystem for Linux itself, is a robust platform that developers can rely on. That WSL was extended with capabilities both in Windows, that we introduced new Linux services for Windows, that all in turn made Windows a great platform, a seamless platform for developers, especially who are doing agentic work, Gen AI work, AI platform, and model science work in itself. I think that was a key cornerstone for us to continuously make progress on the platform of Windows as we serve developers, both who are building on Windows and are building for Windows. The second thing we announced at Build was Windows ML, which is essentially our platform abstraction for making sure we can provide developers a seamless experience across the entire Windows ecosystem. And that, of course, requires deep co-engineering across our silicon partners. AMD was a huge part of making sure we were ready for Windows ML at Build. And the two important pieces there, one is, of course, the ability to be a seamless development target. The second was the ability to add NPUs, neural processing units, as a target environment for developers in addition to GPUs and CPUs that we have today. And so we're making steady work across the Windows ML. We have a variety of marquee developers across the Windows ecosystem who are now enlisted to be using Windows ML for making sure we can democratize this idea of adding AI capability to their existing apps or bringing net new apps into the world that are AI first. The other thing that we did was to introduce Windows AI Foundry, the ability to have AI models running locally, a catalog for those models, a set of services that back those models. And so developers are looking to experiment with models, SLMs on the edge, either for their product making processes or for potentially commercializing them, now have the ability to use both the Windows AI Foundry in concert with the Azure Foundry. And so we have one single solution for our developers from cloud all the way to the edge. And the last piece that was very exciting for us and got tremendous response from the developer community was the idea of Windows supporting MCP. And so in Windows, we're going to build a registry for MCP that allows a set of MCP servers to become available that we will manage, deploy on a secure basis. Those are a set of MCP capabilities that developers can rely on. And that provides us the ability to start providing tools and capabilities to agents running locally in Windows, agents running in the cloud that extend their understanding of the operating system, extend their ability to operate on the user's behalf through the ability to rely on an MCP service that now is an industry standard, working with, of course, leading partners across the AI space.
That's very exciting. I mean, everything you described, just further opens up an ecosystem for my world of all of us as chip providers and enablers, but all the applications sitting on top, the ability to spawn all these AI agents. I think, again, we're just starting to see the advent of applications that can really leverage that and bring productivity. But I'd love to get your view, if you fast forwarded 3 years, probably even 5 years out. I used to always say 5 years, but it seems with AI, everything's just going so fast. So it's probably 3 to 5 years being a far future point. But what do you see? And the world that you're running across Microsoft, how do you see it changing between now and then? What I mean by that is just, any insights as to what we could, all of us as users, be doing in a very different way at that point in time.
The one thing I think that we're excited about is the idea that really AI in Windows just continues to unlock human potential. For us, I think at the end of the day, it is the ability for AI to be able to empower people, move them forward through a set of experiences and capabilities that in turn empowers them to be able to go do the things that they're most passionate about, the most capable about. and be able to serve them in a way that perhaps today would not simply be possible with the boundaries of compute and application capability that we have. And so the one thing that we are excited about, Mark, is the notion of agents, for instance, and an agentic OS powering what capabilities can look like in an operating system going forward. And we think of a world where software really understands users, it understands user intent, it simplifies constructs today that people have to work through between apps and OSs in themselves, and it creates agency for us to be able to go deliver seamless solutions where they have agents working within the operating system, within applications, for example, within business-specific workflows and dynamics that in turn just make people more productive, that in turn unlocks productivity for enterprises, for consumers, for students. And so I think, once again, we're at the infancy of what this opportunity looks like, and we're very excited to be on this journey with you to be able to create this system solution for our customers.
Pavan, it's going to be really exciting. And the thing I think about as I was hearing all of your words, as you think your thoughts on how we move forward here, is everything you said, again, is under this this top level of an operating system that's already geared to deliver an easy to interface experience. And so really it's opening up for the masses the ability to drive up their productivity using the same kind of application platform that they're experienced with already. And so I don't know if everyone really realizes that this isn't going to, it's going to be a process that's incremental. I think people will wake up in 3 to 5 years and see we are exactly living in the world you just described, and will say, how did that even happen? Because you just don't even think about it. You're just incorporating new agentic processes, you're improving your productivity all along the way. Well, Pavan, this has been great. It's been really super to hear your thoughts. I can't thank you enough for the partnership we've had with you and your team and overall across AMD and Microsoft. What an exciting time. I really look forward to future collaborations with you, and thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me. Grateful for our partnership, and I'm certainly looking forward to the momentum this year. Thank you very much.
I truly enjoyed chatting with Pavan. Let me summarize a couple of key takeaways I walked away with. We're at a transformative inflection point for how we'll interface with PCs and devices in the AI era and how they're going to power wholly new experiences for us. I enjoyed Pavan's perspective on how his team delivers a seamless experience of new AI-fueled capabilities and how Windows and Copilot+ have evolved to enable these experiences. I was also gratified to hear Pavan's comments on our software-hardware co-design as we partner together to deliver those experiences. Thank you for joining us today on Advanced Insights. I look forward to bringing you more in-depth conversations on cutting-edge technology, industry insights, and visionary perspectives from some of the brightest minds in the field. You can watch the video show on AMD's YouTube channel, or you can listen on the Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube Music audio-only platforms. Technology is always advancing, and I can't wait to share more insights with you next time.